Have you ever heard of a place so frightening that even the people who live nearby refuse to speak about it after dark? Deep in the forests of Pennsylvania, there is a legend that has survived for decades. A legend about 7 gates hidden among the trees. Most people laugh when they hear it, until they learn what supposedly waits beyond the last one. The story begins in the autumn of 1992. The leaves had already begun to turn red, and cold winds swept through the hills surrounding the small town of Black Hollow. For generations, the locals had whispered about an abandoned property hidden somewhere deep within the forest. According to the stories, a psychiatric hospital once stood there. The building was isolated from the world, surrounded by thick woods and rusted fences. Then one night, disaster struck. A fire broke out. By the time firefighters arrived, much of the building had been destroyed. The flames lit the sky for miles, and in the chaos, several patients vanished into the forest. Some were eventually found. Others were never seen again. Years later, strange rumors began to spread. Hunters claimed they had discovered enormous iron gates hidden among the trees. The first gate was easy enough to find, but the others seemed impossible. People said they appeared only at night. Some swore the gates changed locations. Others believed they were never meant to be found at all. Eventually, a darker story emerged. If someone passed through all 7 gates in order, they would disappear forever. No one knew where the tale came from, but everyone knew someone who claimed it was true. Most people ignored the rumors, except for a 17-year-old boy named Daniel Mercer. Daniel loved anything mysterious. Urban legends, ghost stories, abandoned buildings. The stranger the story, the more interested he became. When he first heard about the 7 gates, he became obsessed. For weeks, he researched newspaper archives and local records. Most of what he found contradicted the legend, but a few details bothered him. There had been reports of strange lights in the forest. Several hikers had vanished over the years, and almost every witness described hearing screams deep among the trees. Daniel couldn't let it go. His friends told him to forget it. His parents warned him to stay away from the woods, but the warnings only made him more curious. On October 23rd, 1992, Daniel made a decision. He was going to find the gates, alone. Just before sunset, he packed a flashlight, spare batteries, a camera, and a notebook. Then he entered the forest. At first, everything seemed normal. The trees swayed gently. Birds called in the distance. The trail was easy to follow. Hours passed. Darkness settled over the woods. The temperature dropped. Then Daniel saw something ahead. An enormous iron gate. Its black bars rose higher than his head. Rust covered every inch of it. A faded warning sign hung from the center. The writing was impossible to read. Daniel smiled. He had found the first gate. He snapped several photographs and stepped through. Nothing happened. The forest beyond looked exactly the same. For a moment, he felt foolish. Maybe the legend really was just a story. Then he noticed something strange. The sounds of the forest had vanished. No insects, no birds, no wind, only silence. A silence so complete, it felt unnatural. Daniel continued forward. After nearly 30 minutes of walking, he found the second gate, then the third. Each one looked older than the last. Each one stood alone among the trees for no obvious reason. By the fourth gate, unease had replaced excitement. The woods felt wrong. The trees seemed taller. Their shadows stretched in impossible directions. Several times, Daniel thought he saw movement between the trunks. Whenever he turned to look, nothing was there. He told himself it was exhaustion, nothing more. Then he reached the 5th gate, and that's when he heard the scream. It echoed through the darkness. A distant cry filled with terror. Daniel froze. The sound lasted only a few seconds. Then silence returned. His hands trembled. Every instinct told him to turn around. Instead, he kept going. The legend had become real, and he wanted answers. The 6th gate appeared just after midnight. It stood in a clearing illuminated by pale moonlight. Unlike the others, this gate wasn't rusted. It looked new, as if someone had installed it yesterday. Daniel stared at it. His flashlight flickered, then died. The clearing fell into darkness. For several seconds, he couldn't move. Then he heard footsteps, slow, heavy, circling the edge of the clearing. Something was out there, watching him. Daniel replaced the batteries with shaking hands. When the light returned, the footsteps stopped. The clearing was empty, but the feeling remained. He was no longer alone. Somewhere beyond the trees, something was waiting. Daniel stepped through the sixth gate. The moment he did, the air changed. It became strangely warm. The forest ahead looked different. The trees twisted into unnatural shapes. Fog drifted across the ground, and in the distance stood another gate, the seventh, larger than all the others combined. Daniel could barely breathe. Every survival instinct screamed at him to run. Instead, he approached, one step at a time. The closer he got, the louder the whispers became. At first, he couldn't understand them. Then he realized they were voices, hundreds of voices, all speaking at once. Some begged for help, some cried, some simply repeated his name. Daniel stopped. The gate stood less than 20 feet away. Beyond it was only darkness, a darkness deeper than the surrounding night. Then something moved inside it, a shape, tall, thin, impossible to identify. Daniel raised his flashlight. The beam disappeared into the darkness beyond the gate, as though the light itself had been swallowed. The whispers became screams. Daniel took a step backward, then another, and another. Suddenly, the darkness beyond the gate surged forward. The flashlight fell from his hands. The last thing Daniel saw was a pair of pale eyes opening within the void. Then everything went black. The next morning, search teams entered the forest. They searched for 3 days. They never found Daniel, not completely. Near a clearing, investigators discovered only a pair of shoes. The leather was blackened, as though it had been exposed to intense heat. No footprints led away, no signs of a struggle, nothing. The rest of Daniel Mercer simply vanished. To this day, nobody knows what happened that night. The Seven Gates remain one of Pennsylvania's most disturbing legends. Some believe the gates are imaginary. Others claim they still exist somewhere in the forest, hidden, waiting, and according to those who know the story best, the gates never stay in the same place for long. They're always moving through the trees, searching for the next person curious enough to follow them. And if you ever find the first gate, you should probably turn around before the forest decides to show you the second.